Rutgers, I think it stunned me at least. And I think part of it is because I was enamored with Gavin Wimsatt's athleticism. But Athan Kaliakmanis transferred in from Minnesota. We kind of assumed there'd be a quarterback battle. It is not a battle anymore. Kaliakmanis is the starter. Wimsatt has transferred out. Is this good or bad for Rutgers, and why?
So I think this is an interesting question, and I think I got to give some context to it. If you had asked me at the beginning of the competition, so to speak, when the end of last season, when Athan says he's going to transfer, I would tell you that I was rooting for Gavin Wimsatt because of his potential. What you just said, kind of really said it perfectly. Enamored with his potential and his athleticism. Last year, a lot of our points, a lot of the reason for our offense kind of keeping certain defenses on their heels was because we had a mobile quarterback who could really do damage with his legs. I liked his pocket presence. And above all, he was a young guy who came to Rutgers really when he should have been in high school still, got here, got an NIL deal, and we were very excited about him. And everything I had seen from him and his development had really given me the impression that there was a high ceiling there. Okay. And if you had asked me a couple months ago, would it be a good thing if he's gone after spring ball? I would have said, no, I'm rooting for him. However, my answer to your question is that it's a great thing for Rutgers. Not that Wimsatt's gone, but the fact that Athan came in and there was a competition in spring that was so decisive that Athan was that much more impressive and fit the system and what Rutgers wants to do this year and what Kirk Ciarrocca wants to accomplish, that it wasn't even a question at all going into the summer. That tells me that Rutgers is well positioned and confident in their current starter. And here's the thing. Last year, as much as I liked Gavin, and I thought he took a step forward last year, I thought he'd take a step forward again this year, and I was looking forward to that. The fact was that I think Rutgers at the skill positions, from a schematic standpoint, was actually better than I anticipated in the sense that guys were getting open. Opportunities were there downfield. Opportunities were there for yards after the catch with certain receivers. And we left a lot of that on the field or off the field because Gavin couldn't complete certain passes at a consistent level. Now, he's got a great arm. Some passes I was blown away by, but then the next drive, he'd miss a screen. And so when we went into the spring game, and I know you're not supposed to glean too much from the spring game, but it was interesting because the first pass Gavin throws is a out screen pass to a wide receiver that could be our bread and butter. It could be 5-6 yards a clip easily, and he misses. And okay, it's one pass. But Athan comes in and his first pass is like a deep ball. It got called back for a penalty, but it's a completion downfield. And you could just tell. Athan, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't look like the wheels are the same as Gavin with his legs. However, it looks like it's head and shoulders, a difference with throwing the ball. And if he's going to execute on the field and get the ball to open playmakers, that's what we need. I will say, Schiano said after, like a couple weeks after Gavin transferred out, that it really wasn't that close. So, and I'm not saying that in terms of negative on Gavin, that Gavin was so, not performing well enough that it was not close because Gavin wasn't doing well. From what I've heard from camp reports, Gavin took another step forward, albeit incrementally, but Athan still was much better at throwing the ball and getting the ball where it needed to go. So I think this is a product of the team being confident, certain about the fact that they've upgraded the position, and giving a young man who gave so much to Rutgers for those 3 years the chance to go out and find a better place for himself instead of dragging him through summer. It would be great to have Gavin as a backup, but I understand why they did it. It encourages me that they're so confident at that position that we've upgraded it. If you upgrade that position compared to what we did last year, I think it bodes well for this year. I will also say, again, you're not supposed to glean too much from the spring game. I'm a tad bit bullish on a Johnny Shepard. And I know we have the freshman and, there's a lot of good things going on about him, but a Johnny Shepard, I'm interested to see what he can do, and he's probably going to be the backup. So I think overall, Zach, I think it bodes well for us, even though I might not have said that a few months ago because I love Gavin. But
yeah, well, and it really does speak to the the reality that sometimes you just have a player and a coach that really mesh well. I think you and Kurt from Sky U Pod, we were on the college huddle together, and I thought Kurt made a really good point that there's this reuniting of Kurt Soraka and Athan Kaliakmanis from their days at Minnesota. And I think that really does help him. So the people who may have seen Kaliakmanis, and I'm one of them, I criticized Kaliakmanis a lot last year, but before the season last year, I really thought Kaliakmanis was going to take a step. And it seems like maybe what he was missing was his coach who had moved on to Rutgers. And now he's got him back. And it sounds like that really has kind of propelled him forward. Whereas Wimsatt, he was still growing, but he just wasn't growing fast enough for what Rutgers needs.
And I think that goes a long way. And like, to my point about last season, I don't know what's going on internally, but I sure as heck didn't think that we would be at the level we really appeared to be playing last year. So I think it was more we're going to grow with Gavin, but they realized we've got to change course a little bit because the team around Gavin has grown leaps and bounds, and we're actually
Yeah.
more ready to compete than we realize. We need that piece in there.
Yeah.
And the Minnesota guys in general on that night and just different talk from different Minnesota fans, it really made me encouraged about Athan when I hadn't been initially because of his last season there. They seemed to be saying what we gleaned, like, hey, he with the right OC, he had a lot of potential. We kind of like him, and hearing that encouraged me. And then seeing how the competition went, I'm excited to see him.